I've been testing these cameras pretty much since they came out. DJI sent me the Osmo Action to review, and I bought the GoPro Hero 12 with my own money so I could see which one I prefer. This review took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to. A lot of the comparisons I see online come at these action cameras from a videography kind of standpoint, which is absolutely valid, but I really wanted to choose a whole lot of categories that we can pit these against each other that are mainly focused around the action camera side of everything. So all of my stuff will kind of be skewed a little bit to how easy they are to actually get the shots while you're out doing stuff. Let's have a look at some side-by-side stuff while I tell you about all the categories we're going to score these things against. So the categories I've chosen are the build, so the overall fit and finish of the camera, the size, the screens, and also maybe the underwater capabilities. The battery life, charging, and overall power performance is quite important. Usability, and now this is an important one, so we're looking at the UI, the responsiveness, the mounting options, as well as the phone and desktop apps. The cost, so here we're going to mainly talk about what you get for your money, including all the peripherals, accessories, and maybe even cloud storage. Photo quality, now normally you would think photo quality is not super important, but when all you've got is the action camera when you're out doing stuff, I find it to be quite useful, so I'm going to put these two against each other. The extra shooting features, so these are all the modes and features that these cameras add, like hyperlapse and star trails, selfie stick removal, reframing, all that kind of stuff. Audio, so here we're going to look at the differences between the internal mics and how they perform in the wind, as well as all the external mic scenarios and Bluetooth capabilities. And then lastly, we'll talk about video quality, which probably the most important thing for these things. So there we'll look at field of view, HDR, low light performance, slow motion, log, 10-bit, vertical video, the whole lot. If you picked A, then that's the DJI Osmo Action, and if you picked B, then that's the GoPro Hero 12. Let me know in the comments which one you thought was best, and yeah, we'll compare notes. Right, we'll go for a walk and try to do some cool B-roll, and then I can talk about the build. So with the build, they're both super high quality action cameras, rugged enough to handle heaps of abuse. I find the feel of the Action 4 to be slightly more premium than the GoPro, and also with using the buttons and the opening up the doors and that kind of stuff, a lot more quality and easy to use. The form factor, the DJI is slightly smaller in its form factor than the GoPro Hero 12, but that's mainly because of the mounting system they've gone with. The GoPro has got its standard little fold out feet that you can mount to any of the action mounts, but it also has added, which is really sick, the 1/4 inch thread, so you can just mount it on any tripod. I find this so handy at the moment. Even though it's got a smaller form factor, the Osmo Action 4, when you've got it on the magnetic mount, does sit up a little bit higher than the GoPro Hero 12 when you've got it mounted on stuff. So even though it's smaller, just bear that in mind. We'll talk about the magnetic mounting system later. Both cameras are waterproof without a case. The Osmo Action 4 is waterproof up to 18 meters without the case, and the GoPro is waterproof up to 10. It's a big difference, but to be honest, if you're going that deep without a case, you know, just get a case. The last little difference between the two is that they've both got screens front and back, but the DJI Osmo Action has touchscreens on both, whereas the GoPro Hero 12's just got a touchscreen at the back. I find the touchscreen on the front a super handy feature, mainly just to change modes while you're out looking at it. When you got it mounted somewhere, you don't have to take it all off and change it. The touchscreen is responsive and can change most settings on your camera when you're out shooting, so super handy. Between those two, the win for the build quality is going to go to the DJI. The battery life on both these cameras are actually insane. They're the best I've seen from action cameras by far. To be honest, they are reasonably similar. When I tested the Osmo Action 4, I only managed to kill it once, and that was a full day skiing on one battery using 4K footage. It was just mental. The GoPro has just recently doubled its battery life from the Hero 11 to the Hero 12 to basically catch up with the Action 4. To get to this new double the battery life thing, GoPro has actually done away with all the GPS functionality inside the camera, just like DJI does. The only thing is that GoPro doesn't give you a dedicated tool like you can get in the GPS Smart Remote for the Action 4. So if you did want to have the GPS functionality, this is going to be a clear winner. To be honest, I would rather have double the battery life than GPS functionality. It's just that simple. On the GoPro spec sheet, they say it can do an hour and a half of 5.3K shooting on the GoPro Hero 12. And the Osmo Action 4 says that they can do 160 minutes of 4K 30 shooting with the Action 4. A little bit difficult to compare these two, like just looking at the spec sheet, because they are shooting at different resolutions and frame rates and that, but to be honest, to use them, they're pretty similar. But where the difference between these two cameras really stands out is in how long it takes to charge it. The Osmo Action 4 will charge from 0 to 80% in like 18 minutes, whereas the GoPro honestly feels like it takes forever. It's just insane how quick it does that. If you're gonna get the GoPro, I'd say definitely get yourself a couple extra batteries and one of those external chargers. But for this one, went to the DJI. So with usability, this is probably the most important battle between these two cameras. If the camera itself gets in the way of you getting the shot while you're out doing something, it's completely pointless. So the GoPro Hero 12 has got its standard little fold out fingers that you can use in all of your action camera mounts, and then they've also added the 1/4 inch thread at the bottom so you can use it on all your tripods. I've been finding this super handy to just chuck it on a tripod or a selfie stick and I can quickly pop it on and off, which is really handy. The reason why that's really handy for me at the moment is because I've been spoilt by using the Osmo Action 4's mounting system. It's just clip on magnetic. It's unbelievably quick to use and super secure. I love using this thing. I normally have like a range of mounts on either the bike or my chest or something like that, and I can quickly just pop it on and off and change mounts and change angles. It also lets you pop it off when you're using the case and swap to full vertical shooting, so you can shoot full 4K with the full field of view, which is pretty rad. The GoPro does do something similar, but they achieve it with a 8 by 7 inch sensor, so you can actually go into the app afterwards and just reframe your frame to whatever you want. So the GoPro has updated the UI on this camera, which I'm really enjoying at the moment. It's really intuitive and responsive compared to the older GoPros, but I do like the DJI's interface a lot more. I can't tell you how useful it is to just go in there and be able to set up your custom modes, and then using the quick switch button, just being able to push that button and cycle between all the modes. I use this a lot when I'm shooting different kind of scenarios. I might have it in 4K 60 for one type of thing, and then D-Log with underwater profile for the other one. So super handy and really quick to just change between modes. And when you pair that with the fact that it's got the dual touchscreen, so it's super easy and quick to use no matter how it's mounted, the DJI again gets the win in this category. So with the price thing, they're both $399, which is pretty straightforward. It's same value for that kind of thing. The value I find though is if you buy the adventure pack with the DJI Osmo Action, there you get a selfie stick, which is sick, and you get, which is probably the best accessory for the DJI, is the battery charger and 2 extra batteries in that pack for $499. Yes, it's an extra $100, but the value there is so good. If you did get the GoPro, then I'd say getting the GoPro and then also buying the extra battery charger and that kind of stuff will give you some good value. I'm gonna have to chalk this one down as a bit of a tie, mainly because they're both $399, and I'll leave links down below for any deals that I find for these two cameras, so check it out. So with photo quality, you'd think that this wouldn't be an important category nowadays with our phones and our mirrorless cameras that we take on all these adventures. But with these action cameras, kind of fill that gap is when you can't get those things out and you really need something to just capture that image straight in the moment. So the GoPro shoots at 27 megapixels and the DJI only shoots at 10. This on paper looks like a massive difference, but In practice, they kind of seem to be reasonably similar. This is probably shown in the fact that the DJI is a much larger sensor, so it can let in a whole lot more light and information. And also what's kind of interesting is that the 27 megapixel GoPro image and the 10 megapixel DJI image end up being the same file size, so GoPro must be doing quite a bit with its compression. But overall, I do like what's coming out of the GoPro a little bit more than the DJI. The colors seem to be a bit more vibrant, and they're definitely doing a lot of post-processing in there. If you just after some bang out of the camera, true to life stuff, the DJI does look that way, but if you're after just bangers that you can smash on the gram, the GoPro is definitely the way to go. What I do really like about the GoPro though is that, and I use this way more than the actual photo features, that you can pull a full 27 megapixel image straight out of any video that you got using the app. So check out this image that I took on my mate's farm. It's an absolute banger, and this was just with the camera rolling while we went down the hill. Pretty sick. So in this one, we're gonna give the win to the GoPro. So extra shooting features are all the little features that you get that you didn't really ask for but are pretty stoked to have. So both cameras in this case shoot awesome time lapses and hyperlapses, really quick and easy. It's pretty standard for action cameras nowadays. The Action 4 has this awesome feature where you can remove the selfie stick by just pushing a button in the app. It uploads to the cloud and then sends you back a video where the selfie stick's completely gone, and it makes it look like it's just floating in third person. Really cool little feature. I quite like it to just hide the selfie stick in certain scenarios, which is pretty rad. The GoPro Hero 12 has some pretty interesting time-lapse stuff for nighttime, so star trails and cityscape trails and that kind of stuff, which is super handy and pretty interesting. I wish that the Action 4 would add this feature or have it, because at the moment anything done at night is pretty manual, and it would do so much better than the GoPro because it's got the much bigger sensor. Hopefully it's something that I'm missing or that is coming to the Action 4 sometime soon with a software update. Both have a pre-record button, so you can have your camera basically recording before anything happens, and you push the shutter button and it saves the last however many seconds. The GoPro does 30 seconds and the Action 4 can do up to 60 seconds. So this will be pretty handy if you're fishing or something like that, something where you don't actually know when the action's going to happen, and you can just have it running and then save the image. So all of those features are pretty cool, and some of them a little bit gimmicky, but the feature that I find the most useful and is absolutely my favorite feature on these cameras is GoPro's easy mode. So basically what you can do is just tell the camera to record as best as possible in the widest frame possible, and then in the app you can go in and change every single thing that you want about it. So you can reframe it, you can make it vertical, you can make it super wide or linear. It's just click of a button stuff. It is so handy, and probably the reason why I'm still using the GoPro. I can just push record and do stuff and then decide later if I want to use it. This is a seriously underrated feature and no one's really talking about it, but just for that thing, otherwise this section would be really close. Just for that thing, extra features goes to the GoPro. Right, so I've decided to do the audio test outside with the cameras, and there's a little bit of a breeze on today, so you should be able to kind of hear the difference. I'll jump between the two as I go. I generally find that I like the sound of, especially my voice, out of the Action 4, with both of them handling noise kind of the same, maybe a little bit better for the Action 4, like a tiny bit. I guess we'll find out now when we're out in the wind. Both have ways that you can connect external mics if you want a bit more crispy audio. The GoPro has a Pro mic adapter and the Creator Media Mod, both GoPro accessories that you have to use to plug an external mic into it, whereas the Action 4 you can pretty much plug any USB-C external mic into the side of the thing using that second door, which is pretty rad. Also with the Action 4, if you are using an external mic, you can see on the camera your gain levels and adjust it in camera on the go, which the GoPro can't do. The GoPro Hero 12 now lets you add Bluetooth headphones or accessories to the GoPro and use that to capture audio and also control the voice controls of the mic. The audio over Bluetooth is absolutely terrible, so I'm not even going to count this as an audio feature. It is pretty cool to use your AirPods or something like that as a external control for the voice when, you know, if the GoPro's outside, but I'm not counting it as a audio feature because it sounds horrible. So yeah, this one, it again reasonably close for how the mic sounds straight out of the camera, but having those extra features where you can just plug any external mic into the camera without having to buy a GoPro accessory, this one again goes to the Action 4. So quickly, while I was recording this, I realized that DJI has actually added some functionality to the Osmo Action 4 in a software update, and they're actually adding Bluetooth connection to the DJI Mic 2, which hasn't come out yet technically, but I will link a video down below from Philip Scarpa that he connects the one that came with the Pocket 3 to his Osmo Action 4, which is so sick, and I will definitely be testing one of these out when they come out. Right, so the big one, video quality. Now this can be quite difficult to show because it can be reasonably subjective with different color sciences and bit rates and the way they deal with the images and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do my best to just talk about the facts and why I think one's better than the other. So on paper, the GoPro Hero 12 does have a slightly wider field of view. It's 156 degrees versus the Osmo's 155. But that's only when you are shooting in the full 8:7 aspect ratio. I feel like generally when you're shooting in the normal frame rate, so 16:9 or something like that, the Osmo seems to get more in the frame. With vertical video, they've kind of tackled this issue in different ways. The GoPro just uses a full 8:7 aspect ratio sensor to then crop a vertical piece out of that, and then the Action 4 actually comes with a separate cage that you can quite quickly clip on and off and swap between horizontal and vertical. Both have their merits. Like the GoPro, you don't have to decide whether or not your image should be vertical or not in the moment, and with the Action 4 you get a much better field of view in your vertical orientation. Both reasonably interesting on how they dealt with it, but if you shoot a lot of vertical video, then definitely the Action 4 is the way to go. Both cameras now shoot in 10-bit color with their own log profiles. This can give you better colors, better dynamic range, and a bit more options when it comes to color grading in post. I don't really use log profiles, but I'll link a few videos down below on people talking a bit more in depth about the log profiles with these action cameras. With resolutions, the GoPro will shoot in 5.3K at a 8:7 aspect ratio. A very versatile and kind of handy aspect ratio, especially for like all the reframing and horizon lock kind of stuff you can do with it. The GoPro seems to have a bit more of a vibrant, bright color science to it that people really seem to like online. I tend to like the Action 4's kind of more natural feel to it, a bit more true to life, and also I can always bump those things up. I'd rather kind of see exactly what happened when we were there, and then I can, you know, put my spice on it later if I wanted to. The Action also seems to nail white balance because it's got a dedicated white balance sensor. The Action shoots up to 4K. Yes, it's less than the GoPro, but it's got a much bigger 1/1.3 inch sensor. This gives you like far better dynamic range and awesome low light performance. A couple places that I find that this bigger sensor really shines. Number one is in the kind of stability in low light performance. So what's really important to me is when we're riding out in the forest and stuff and we're going in and out of dark bits, I find that the GoPro stability will kind of fall apart a lot quicker than the Action 4's stability, and this has got to do with that bigger sensor being able to capture more light and have a sharper image to then work off to do the stability stuff. And then the other one is the overall detail in the rest of the image. So the GoPro always looks really good like up front, but if you pixel peep and go into the kind of further reaches of the image, it seems to fall apart there. Maybe it's something to do with the compression of it, and they might be doing some clever stuff, but I find that the overall sharpness and detail in the whole image on the Action 4 seems to be a lot better than the GoPro. This section again is really close. I've tried to add as much details for you as I can. I've shown you all the images that I've captured over the way. Again, it's really subjective, but for me, I really like the just natural, true-to-life image that comes out of the Action 4, and that stability in low light just absolutely kills it for me. So Action 4 for the win. Whew, well, that's a lot. Look, on paper, for me, the Action 4 wins. All in all, it's going to come down to your personal preference of the image and how you tend to use this thing. If you just kind of that weekend warrior and you're going to have this thing mounted to your chest strap and you just want to go out and capture a whole lot of stuff, and you might post something to your gram or something like that later down the line, the GoPro is quick and easy and just will get you an awesome image, and you can reframe it and change it however you want. If you want to be a bit more serious and you want to tell a bit more of a story, get a whole lot of different angles, quickly changing mounts with that quick mount, you want a versatile camera that can capture all the time and always gets the shot, I really recommend the Osmo Action 4. I absolutely love this thing, and so that's kind of why I've been using both. I kind of leave the GoPro on my chest mount while I'm out riding. I don't really change settings or any of that. I just leave it in easy mode and bang stuff out. But when I want to get a bit more creative and tell a bit of story, then I use the Action 4. If you made it this far in the video, this thing took me ages to make. I've been thinking about it for months now. I've been trying these cameras and want to really get the best video for you that I can. So think about subscribing. If you can, leave a comment down below. Tell me why you disagree with me, because inevitably you're gonna. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.